Hi, welcome back to Lifelong Learning Education. Thanks for subscribing. And if you haven't, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, be sure and subscribe, comment below, like the video, you know the drill. My name is Dr. Trina Boice, and I'm a best-selling author of 31 books and the co-founder of Lifelong Learning Education. And today I'm really excited to introduce you to Vicki Griffith, who is a breakthrough catalyst and a weight loss coach. And so I've got a million questions for her. Welcome, Vicki.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for asking.
Yes, well, especially when I found out what your expertise is and the global pandemic that has quarantined us inside and driven us to our refrigerators. I thought you would be a perfect guest. So for all of you who are watching, Vicki's expertise is not sticking to a diet plan, but kind of changing the way that we eat. And you use a lot of different techniques to help us overcome cravings and all of those food triggers that I know I struggle with. So let's talk about that. Take it away, Vicki.
Okay. Well, let me share this with you that there's no guilt or judgment or shame about putting on a few pounds with this all happening, because it's happened to a lot of people. Even people who are not stress eaters or emotional eaters are finding themselves in front of the refrigerator, or they're going to the food pantry for that cookie and they're nibbling all day long. And the reason behind all that is we have been threatened. All four basic needs for a human being has been threatened. And this is unusual. You may have one, so you might go to the doctor and get bad news about your health, but all the other areas of your life are fine. This has hit everything. This has hit financial, so our home and our food is having, threatened. This is our education. Our kids weren't going to school anymore. Colleges weren't open. And then, of course, health. And so it's okay that you may find yourself grazing throughout the day and you don't know why, and it's normally something you wouldn't do. So that's the first thing, kind of step back and say, I'm really okay, and I'm going to be okay. The second part of that is then when we have these habits, and even if it's over a matter of a few days, then the brain takes over and goes, oh, that's what we need to do. So feel stress, go eat a cookie. And so that starts happening. The mind says, oh, okay, I got it. Feel stressed, go eat a cookie. And then all of a sudden all these automatic patterns start taking over, and they get more and more difficult as time goes on to release. And so helping you kind of crush those cravings right now so that you can stop the pattern and help the brain and the mind realize that that's not normal for you anymore with so much more ease. That's kind of what I do to help my clients right now who've been struggling.
It's crazy how quickly our body will willingly adapt and accept bad habits. Why can't we do that with good habits? Like you just described, we've now got a new routine of running to the pantry and grabbing a cookie, So tell us some of the exercises that you do. I know you do some hypnotherapy and some tapping exercises. So show us maybe one little thing that we could do when we get that trigger, when we're like, oh, I got to eat that thing.
Well, the first thing I tell all my clients, regardless of what they come to me for, because I have clients other than weight loss, my typical client says to me, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't know how to do it, or I can't get myself to do it. Not so much they don't know how, but they can't get themselves. That's
it's the willpower. That's the big link, the missing link, right?
And willpower is a unicorn.
I've been told. Although I'm married to Mr. Willpower. He really does have willpower, but I keep telling him, but it's easy for you because you don't have the cravings.
Well, willpower and discipline are two different things.
He's very okay, tell us the difference.
Okay. So willpower, we do have it. We actually do. It's not as mystical as we might claim it will be. Willpower is something that we use for like a sprint runner. They're going a short distance, and it's going to be over with. What we need, as far, especially myself included, when around weight, is become a marathon runner. So have the ability to continue to move forward and not have to use up willpower to do so. And I've been on those diets and they're really hard. Discipline is you made a commitment to yourself. You have decided that you are going to do it regardless, and you're not going to take, and this is my client's phrase, I'm not going to take any shit from myself anymore. And that's kind of what we do. That's discipline. We're no longer going to allow that moment of, oh my gosh, I'm stressed, let me go get a cookie, to derail us. So we're just not, that's discipline.
So can you teach us, I was, by the way, I was on Vicki's website and she has tons of really great videos. And so I was watching one just this morning about tapping. Can you teach us that? Because that alone, I think, is such a helpful tool. Or maybe before we dive into that, sorry to interrupt you, teach us a little bit about what tapping is, why it's effective, and then how to do that tapping exercise.
Okay. I'm glad to. It is super silly stupid. That's what it is.
Mixed in with a little voodoo.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, can't explain it. No, actually, I can explain it. But I have to admit, when I first learned about it, being left brain, very analytical person, this was how long ago it was. It came to me on a cassette.
Wow.
For those of you that understand what that is, you are my people. Those of you who don't, it was about this big and had 2 holes in it and tape that ran through a recorder or a player. So I listened to it and I put it away because I'm like, that's just stupid. There's no way that works. It's not going to work. I just had enough. And I put it away until the moment that famous Amos was calling my name from my food pantry. And he's like, hey, Vicky, he knew my name. Vicky, I have some chocolate chip cookies for you.
He knows my name too.
Yeah, I think you kind of use that kind of guy, you know, but Vicky, come on, you haven't visited me in a while. I know you're kind of down right now. You need some energy. I'll certainly help you out. Come visit me. I'm standing at the food pantry and I'm going, no. So there's this internal conversation going on of, well, I shouldn't because it's not on my diet, and oh, it tastes so good and I really need that break, and you know, I deserve it, and all the rationally was, you know, the reasonable solid reasons I could create to have one, while all the other stuff was going on saying you shouldn't have one. And so finally I grabbed the cassette and I put it in a Walkman, which again shows my age. And for people who don't know what that is, that's what you put the cassettes in that you could actually carry to go for a walk. It wasn't gigantic like, you know, the boom boxes. Again, an old term. Look it up, Google it. You don't know what that is.
So funny. I think we're the same age because I did all of that too.
So I was listening to this cassette and I was tapping. And it's also called tapping. Emotional freedom technique is called tapping along with it. And I found that my stress level was decreasing without even aware that that was happening. And 30 minutes later is when the, oh my gosh, I need to learn this came about. I was out walking in my neighborhood and I hadn't planned. I hadn't planned on walking. It wasn't on my schedule. I was out walking in my neighborhood. I was really enjoying it. And I stopped dead in my tracks the moment I realized that I didn't have that craving for that cookie. In the past, all the techniques I had, I would have to avoid it, distract myself from it, move away from it, try to hide it, you know, all of those crazy things that I used to do in the past. And I realized I didn't have that craving anymore. I didn't have that need to go get it. And then what I also realized is that in that moment, I didn't have the craving. In the past, just the thought of having a cookie would have created a craving, and I didn't have it. It didn't bring back that desire that I had had for it. And so I went back that very moment and started studying with the founder and studied with him for several times and started applying the techniques around weight loss because that was my struggle and that's what I needed to learn for myself. And as many of my coaches have told me, make your mess your message, then I realized I could help support others who are having the same issues.
I love it. What a great message. Make your mess your message. I'm writing that one down below.
So it is silly. I mean, I have to admit, it's very, very silly. It's called let me try this again. Emotional acupuncture without the needles. So what this means is that we're focusing on whatever we're feeling or thinking. And usually it's negative. And a lot of people get upset about that because a lot of us have tried to train ourselves to be positive thinkers. I've read many articles about this, the yeah buts in the back of your head going, you say your positive affirmation and then the yeah but goes, but. So I could say to myself, I weigh 128 pounds forever and ever and ever, but the yeah but is you haven't weighed that since the first grade, so who do you think you are, right? So it's emotional acupuncture without the needles. It's called tapping because you actually tap with your fingers. I'm right hand dominant, so as I show this to you, I will be tapping with my right hand. Use whatever hand you're dominant with. And because normally I have people have a food that they crave and have it with them and smell it. Chocolate kisses are the one thing that I teach a lot of people with, chocolate kisses in group events that I'm in workshops. Because we don't have that, I just invite you to imagine the food. So imagine it, and you might have, and imagination is so powerful because if I ask you to imagine a lemon, your body will respond. Yeah, I even just saying the word started to pucker in the back of my jaw. So your imagination is very, very powerful. So when I say imagine, people think, well, I can't see things. I don't see pictures. Just, what a lemon is, right? You don't have to see a picture. And the same thing with your favorite food, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. It could be savory, it could be sweet, it could be a steak, it could be ice cream. It doesn't matter. It could be potato chips. It doesn't matter what the category is or what it is. And then just imagine seeing that in your mind's eye and what makes it so yummy for you, what makes it taste so good. How does it feel in your mouth? So get all of those type of sensations as well, since we don't have the food. You might even actually smell it. Some people do have that response. When I ask them to imagine, they actually smell it. So if I ask people to, their favorite food is freshly baked bread, then they can actually smell it from the experiences in the past. And it's like playing Simon Says. So I'm going to have you play with me. So I'm not going to have you say Simon Says, but it's kind of like that. You say what I say and you do what I do.
Okay.
All right. Ready to get started?
Yeah. Before we get started, maybe
Sure.
quickly explain what the various points are, that we use when we do EFT.
Sure. So you know the technique because you used every one of them right here. And that one I don't use. So you'll find that everyone has kind of adopted the technique to their belief systems. And that's what makes it work for everyone, is that I've actually have friends who use a technique differently than I do. And when I do it their way, it works for me just as if I was doing it for myself. So it doesn't matter that technique, don't get caught up in right or wrong. And that's what my clients get caught up in all the time. Am I doing it right? Am I hitting the right places? Am I saying it right or wrong? And don't get caught up in that. I'm a recovering perfectionist. That's why I love this technique, because you can't do it wrong, right? So what we're going to be tapping on, and truthfully, I have not memorized the actual scientific name of any of these points. It's not that important to me. It's not that important to my client to know them. I do have a graph that I share with my clients who want to know. Every one of these points do have emotional attachments to them. And every one of these points do have organs or issues in the body attached to them. So an acupuncturist is going to put a needle in that spot to help release whatever that energy is you have around that. We're just going to tap on them. And so what I use as the protocol is this one, what's called the karate chop. And it's right here between your knuckle and your wrist bone. It's the fleshy part. You just tap on it. And again, tap softly. We're not kind of beating ourselves up here. We're just tapping very softly. The next point that I always go to is the top of the head. And this is where a lot of the energy pathways come together. And so that's why it's really important to tap there. Another one is here, right here in the eyebrow. And the beginning of the eyebrow, bridge of the nose, right in here. The other one's on the side of the eye in the corner.
Do you do one or both?
I do one. Now you can do both if you're really, really intense about something. So let's say you're really, really stressed or feeling anxious or really frustrated with something, you can tap on both. And we're going to say affirmations. I've actually screamed the affirmations in the shower when I'm at home alone. Because the release of the energy through speaking also helps as well. Another one is right here under your eye. And then there's one here on your nose above your lips and the crease of your lip. I don't know if you can see it, the collarbone, either side, doesn't matter. I cross my body every single time. And if it feels better, do both sides of the body. That's okay too. And the silliest one is underneath your arm. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just below the
That was hard
armpit.
for me to
Yeah,
get.
and you can go like that too, the same side. So those are the points that we're going to be tapping on. I will share this with you because I've learned from experience with all the times I've shared this with other people. This one right here, a lot of times will release headaches. So I had a couple in my class. I used to teach, I was an adjunct professor at the University of Richmond. So we moved here and it was for weight loss. They were in this class with me and there's a couple in front of me and I started showing them this technique and they had cookies, I think, with them. And the gentleman looked at his wife and she's giving him this like, really kind of expression. And he's shaking his head, yes. And of course I'm teaching, so I'm not stopping, right? It's like kids passing notes in class, I'm not stopping. And again, about an hour later, she looks over at him and he kind of shrugs his shoulders and he's like shaking his head. And after class, they came up to me and they said that he had suffered headaches every day for 7 years and had done all the tests, gone to a zillion doctors. They couldn't figure out why. In that first 30 seconds, his headache went away.
Wow.
And an hour later, his headache was gone. And 6 months later, I saw them when I'm out and about in the town that we used to live in. And they came up to me and they go, do you remember me? I'm like, well, of course, how could I forget you? And he said the headaches were still gone. 3 years later,
Wow.
I again saw them like I get a Target. And the same thing, he said, I get them every now and then, but I just tap them away. So I would not substitute this for a doctor. Absolutely not. But I've seen miracles happen very suddenly that I can't explain. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to start with your karate chop. And this is where we have an affirmation. And it goes something like this. And if you're thinking about your food and you've got it, let's say you have a number in mind, 0 to 10. 10 is, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. I'm going to go get one of those as soon as this video is over. 0 is have a craving. And I'm going to use the word chocolate, okay, because that's what I normally use in my my teaching is say, even though I love chocolate and never have a day without it. I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I love chocolate. It tastes so good.
It does taste so good.
It feels so good in my mouth.
It feels so good in my mouth.
And it helps me feel better.
And it helps me feel better.
For a moment or two.
I
deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I love chocolate.
And
I am not going to give it up. No matter what Vicky says. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And you go to the top of your head and say, I love chocolate. And the eyebrow, this craving for chocolate. The side of your eye, this craving for chocolate. Under your eye, this craving for chocolate. Under your nose, this craving for chocolate. Underneath your lips, this craving for chocolate.
In my mouth.
Collarbone, doesn't matter which side again, this craving for chocolate. And underneath your arm, this craving for chocolate. Take a deep breath. Now we would do that 2 more times, something similar. But right now you would evaluate, even if just thinking about the food, 0 to 10, give it a number. It's a guess, it's not a perfection. Right? I'm not quizzing you on your number. So whatever your number was before we started, what is it now? It could be the same. Some people it goes up, other people it goes down. But it's not a right or wrong number, it's just you guess at your number. And do you have any feeling of anything different that's gone on in your body or thoughts?
Well, I have some questions. So do you do this every time you have a craving, and how many times do you do it?
Great question. So yes, and you do it in rounds of 3. So we would actually do 2 more rounds. That's considered a round. And we do 2 more rounds. So you do rounds of 3. Keep evaluating what you're feeling or thinking, and recognize too that you may have an emotion that comes up, and then that you tap that emotion. Let's say anger comes up for whatever reason. You don't know why, but you feel angry. Then address it, acknowledge it. That's a lot of what we do, is we shove things down, and we shove them down with food. So if anger comes up, just acknowledge it and then tap for anger. And then the next round, you might feel not so angry, you're frustrated. So then you would tap for that. And you just kind of daisy chain as it goes down. Some people will come up and they'll have, what will come up is events that happen in their life that may have caused this. And that's when you start seeking a professional, whether it's myself or someone else, to help you manage through that, so that it's safe for you and that it's not causing harm to you.
Okay, now you said very positive things as we tapped. I've also seen it done that you do a positive thing, acknowledging what the issue is. And then I've seen coaches say, I no longer crave chocolate. This craving will no longer grab me, or, whatever. Do you do that, or you just keep it positive?
Well, I'm actually I'll do a little bit of both. And you're right. There are, like I said, there's no wrong way to do this. And other people have adjusted it for them and their beliefs. So there are different protocols. There's one that you do the negative and then a positive and then another positive. There's one that is a choice technique. So you could say that. You could definitely say, I no longer crave. If you don't believe that, though, it's not your yeah but's going to keep coming up even while you're tapping. So that's what you would tap on, is the yeah but. People get caught up on, like I said, it's negative. Why is it so negative? And I've actually studied the exact opposite, called positive emotional. It was positive therapy of some kind. So it was a positive tapping technique, and it was all positive, because it doesn't seem to matter if you're addressing the negative or the positive. Then they'll both dissolve the negative. So it doesn't, again, you can't do it wrong, doesn't really matter. I prefer to kind of go with the flow, and if it's address the negative first, so that we can kind of get that out in the open and get that out of the system, and then seal it with positive affirmations. So the third round might be all positive, that I can do this, or I'm okay, I'm safe, those type of affirmations, so that they can be more tapped in to the energy system.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned it's not just something that you use with a food craving. It can be any emotion, any issue that you have with money, obviously your health, but relationships, life in general, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And it's so funny too, because you mentioned your first reaction to hearing about it was like, that is just hocus pocus, voodoo, crazy,
right.
what. And I think more and more people are accepting it as this is a lot more effective than going to alcohol to drown your problems in, or grabbing that cookie to handle stress. So I love that. Thank you for teaching us that.
You're welcome. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. So
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, this is just kind of, it's giving you a Band-Aid. And sometimes the Band-Aid isn't what we need. We need someone to help kind of dig that out a little bit, so that it can be clean and refreshed and renewed. So try it, play with it, take personal responsibility for yourself as you're doing it. I play with this a lot with children, as making it a game, and they love it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of applications for this technique.
That's so great. And I understand you have a special gift for all of our viewers today. Tell us what it is and where we can get that.
Absolutely. Thank you. So you can go to crushcravings.com, and you will receive 4 videos that will take you through this process with candy or whatever you have in front of you. So it'll give you an opportunity to have that food in front of you. And I will go through step by step on how to do it. And we try to challenge ourselves to do it in 30 seconds, because I've seen it work as quickly as that.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. It looks kind of like that, but not quite that fast. But yes, and it's fun, because that's what the challenge is. Can you do this in 30 seconds? And one round usually takes 30 seconds after you learn how You know, I was teaching you, so it's taking a little slow. It usually takes about 30 seconds. I use it every day. I use it for all kinds of things. I use it for, you know, I've used it for silly things. I've used it for real serious things. And it has really helped me find that balance in life so that I can stay calm and confident no matter what I'm doing. And I'm grateful that I'm here to share this with you. So thank you for asking.
Well, I'm grateful too. And I think, especially during this worldwide pandemic and the quarantine and how everything is in commotion, I love that it's just one more tool that we can use to try to handle all of the craziness in our lives now. So I thank you for that. And you also have a YouTube channel as well as your website that has so much information. And I love that. Obviously, if you would like to get some more personalized coaching, Vicky's available. But tell us where they can find you on YouTube.
I am at Breakthrough ORG, so it's all one word, Vicki Griffith Breakthrough.
Awesome. And I wrote that up there as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I also love that you mentioned having positive affirmations in your life, because our head, you know, you talked about these but voices and the negative things that we tell ourselves. So if you need help with positive affirmations, be sure and listen to my daily podcast called Daily Inspirational Quote with Trina Boice. It's available on all podcast platforms. All right, Vicki, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. And thank you all for watching our video. And we will catch you in the next one.
All right, thank you so much.
Hey,
Talk to y'all
bye.
soon. Bye-bye.